Welcome to the Cottack Workshop. Today we've got another Singer Treadle Table cabinet. Don't have the machine inside, but we've got the lovely wooden case that has got some water damage, some stains, and a little bit of dog chewing. But we're going to clean it up, tidy it up, and get it back to its owner. Hope you enjoy. So this is the inside. The machine sits up here, and years of sewing machine oil has dripped down onto this. This is actually wood and has a nice grain, but you can't see it. So I'm going to use Swarfega, which is a hand cleaner, but it's a natural degreaser as well, so it's quite gentle for hands, but hopefully will really clean this up. It's a lovely green slime. So you can see that that's really lifting the grime up and starting to reveal the lovely grain. Okay, what I'm going to do now is sand it. It is a veneer, so as we said before, we have to be careful, but we know that it's quite a thick veneer, so and I can also push this out of the way so that I don't scratch that. But we're going to take all the finish off and start again. Okay, so these are the drawers and this is the top, and we're going to try and get closer to that colour. So got some medium oak here, and that's a bit light and a bit orange, so we'll go for a dark oak. I think that's a lot closer to what we're trying to get to. So here's something interesting. I've stained this side of the lid, and you can see the grain and the open grain nature of the oak veneer. But on the other side, it's a completely different wood, and it's much tighter grained with much larger cathedrals. So I don't know why the underside is a different species of wood, but it was the same tone, so we'll stain it just the same, but it comes up differently. Still attractive, just a different species of wood. Okay, so we've got some scratches around here at the base, possibly a dog that's had a little go. I don't really want to sand it all back, and they are quite light, so let's just try. Now, there's no actual damage, it's just surface scratches which the stain has taken away beautifully. So it doesn't always have to be aggressive sanding and stripping. Sometimes just cleaning it up and giving it a little coat is good. So we're going to finish with hard wax oil, Osmo. This is the Rapid. Just wipe it on thinly. So while we're waiting for this to dry, just a little tidy up here. You'll see these felt pads for when the lid closes. One is missing here, so I've got some felt here that's hard backed with sticky back, and so just cut 2 circles of that, and then put one in, and then right on top of it, second one. So they're now the same height. Obviously that looks new, so take exactly the same stain that we've been using and just age it up a bit. There it is. So as this is drying, I'm noticing that it's slightly different shade from the rest. So what I'm going to use is rosewood, which is a slightly redder dye, and go over the top, and immediately you can see that coming in a lot closer than just the dark oak. So, a lot closer to that shade, and absolutely beautiful. Okay, this has been drying overnight. It's looking nice. It's looking good. Just needs a bit of light sanding and we can get to waxing. So I've got a really high grit, which means it's very smooth, and I'm just taking any nits, as you call it, off the finish, but it's really smooth. It's come out really well. So it's not really sanding, it's more buffing. So we're now ready to put some wax on, and as always I'm going to use Gilboys. This is antique gold, which is good for oak. I'm not paid to say this, it just really is absolutely fabulous wax. It says premium beeswax. I think their tagline is the finest beeswax in the world, but it just has a lovely effect and it works well. So I'm going to apply it with some soft wire wool, and I'm also going to be using a shoe brush to get into some of the corners and bring it to the magic that it can become. So we'll leave that for about 20 minutes. This is a really good time to talk about open and closed grain. This is the oak veneer that's on the rest of the table, and you can see as you look down it, the grain is open. That's these tiny marks that look like almost a needle has just cut the surface. That's the grain that is open, and as I said before, the other side is a different species of wood, and this is a closed grain species. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't have that. Now, some projects, let's say you're making a guitar, for example, so luthiers, they fill that, and there are some traditional products that people use, ground up stone, all the way through to modern epoxies and chemicals. I personally think that for a project like this, having the wood grain visible, it will have wax on the top, so it's not going to be porous or cause a problem in use, but you'll just be able to see it. And personally, I favour the open grain look for something like this. Don't want it to look super glossy. You want to recognise that it is a natural product, and it is beautiful wood. But just thought that would be an interesting point while this wax is drying to compare the two options. Beautiful. Because these have been japanned or painted, I need to be very careful when I put them back in so that I don't scratch it, and so it's obvious that they've been removed. I could of course apply a little bit of paint, but my preference is to get these in without marking them. So the secret is a tight-fitting screwdriver that fits into the slot. And not over-tightening to start with. Now, I like the fact that the slots line up. If they didn't, I wouldn't force them to, but given a choice, I think that's a nice finish. Top tip when putting these ones in is obviously there's a large screw and small screws. The large screw is deeper or longer than this is wide, and so if you put one in there you're going to damage it, so you have to remember that they go on this side. And what I will sometimes do if I've got a project like this is shave or sharpen or sand the end of the screwdriver so that it's exactly the right width and thickness for these screws. This is a lovely old, I think Stanley screwdriver that I got in an auction, but I just love the age of it, and it's made for these. So if you try and do it with a screwdriver that's a lot narrower, yes, it will turn it, but to get the same amount of force, it's in a smaller space, so more likely to twist, come off, chip the paint, or actually damage the head. The other secret is just to be really patient. Take your time. So I've put these screws back in, And despite being as careful as possible, because they were painted, you can see signs that it's been removed, and that sort of detracts from the look of it. So rather than trying to paint these again, which is going to be very difficult when they're in place, I'm going to use this. So it's restores black finish. It's actually for stoves, but just put it where the paint has sort of been disturbed, but I don't want to affect these lovely wear marks that are sort of showing the copper beneath. Just takes the metallic shine off the edge of the screws. Perfect. So there we have it. Beautifully restored Singer Treadle Table cabinet. I hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you next time. Thanks very much.